Education. 6 weeks into the first school term, teachers in several schools say that they are yet to get textbooks for the new curriculum, as well as those that are to be supplied free of charge, both in primary and secondary schools. Now, despite the claims by teachers, education officials continue to insist that the books have been supplied. Sam Gituku puts this into perspective.
The government decided on 5th of January to launch the new curriculum in our schools on a pilot basis. In the first 4 years of education, there was a promise to have new books available by the end of January.
These learning resources will be available by end of the month. Parents who are able can purchase them because they will be there. But the plan is that to ensure whether parents are purchasing or not purchasing for each school to have these books.
Several schools and parents, however, continue to report non-availability of the learning materials halfway into the term. Education Principal Secretary Dr. Belio Kipsang insists that all public schools have what they need.
So in Maths, English and Kiswahili, those ones, every child has a book. Those ones we can walk into any school and you'll get a Maths, English and a Kiswahili book on a 1-to-1 ratio. Because these books were aligned through two of our programs, Tusome and Pride. So those ones are already there, and I can confirm on that.
The government has in recent years been running a donor-assisted Tusome program. According to KICD CEO Dr. Julius Juan, all public schools had by the end of last year received mathematics, Kiswahili and English textbooks for the lower grades. This, Dr. Juan says, should be used with the new competency-based curriculum. Still, parents in private institutions say there has been no communication on what books to buy. KICD now saying different publishing houses have already availed their books in various outlets for purchase. The confusion over textbooks availability magnified in public primary schools that should have received standard 7 and 8 textbooks from the government since January. At Kajiado Township Primary, only standard 8 Kiswahili and class 3's mathematics books have been received. For classes 1 and 2, where the new curriculum should be taught, teachers are reported to be relying on curriculum guidelines and using 844 curriculum materials. At Kathithiama Primary School in Machakos, pupils in class 3 and 8 are the only beneficiaries, each receiving just one subject's book. Starting this year, the Ministry of Education adopted a program to provide textbooks for course subjects directly to schools from Standard 7 to Form 4. All Form 1 students in public schools are reported to have received 6 textbooks for 6 course subjects on admission.
Mathematics, Form 2.
At Machakos Boys, only a few subjects' books have been supplied. The ministry gave a July 2018 deadline.
All right, joining us in studio to talk a little bit about this are two gentlemen who can help answer some of the questions that parents and education stakeholders are asking. Let me start from the far right there. We have Job Mokaya. He's the publishing editor, East Africa Educational Publishers. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
And right next here, close to me, is Dr. Julius Juan, the CEO of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you very much.
Great. Let me start with you, Daktari, and find out from you. Yeah. The government on the 5th of January decided to launch the new curriculum pilot program in schools that will run up, I believe, for the next couple of years, 4 years.
Yes.
There was a promise to have new books available to students within, actually, it should have been by the 5th of January.
By the end of January.
The end of January.
Yeah.
How far is that promise?
I think the promise is going on very well.
You think or you know?
I know the promise is going on very well.
Mm-hmm.
I've checked across the country in various bookshops. Publishers have availed books to the bookshops. As I mentioned earlier, I think that was 2 days ago, the mathematics standard 1 and standard 2 books are in schools, all the primary schools in Kenya. English and Kiswahili books are in schools. They are here. They were supplied last year. And then what we went ahead and did for the new curriculum, we did handbooks that again were taken to all the primary schools to help them use the materials in the context of the new curriculum. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doctor, if we are to believe you, then there are some things you might need to explain to us.
Yeah.
Why are we hearing of reports in a school in Kajiado Township, Kadhikiama Primary School in Machakos, complaining that they have not received all the books?
I think,
have you received such complaints?
No, we have received such complaints, and I think probably one thing that we needed to clarify,
please help us understand,
is the confusion that seems to exist between what I call the books that were being delivered to secondary schools and standard 7 and 8, and the books that are being availed for early years for the new curriculum. Now, these are two completely projects, different projects. The government currently is providing textbooks, 4 textbooks for standard 7 and standard 8. That is English, Maths, Kiswahili, and Science. That process of distribution is ongoing. Now, the government is also providing 6 textbooks for all the public secondary schools in Kenya. That is Maths, English, Kiswahili, Biology, Physics, and Chemistry. Again, that process is ongoing. Is the one that I've seen your colleague indicating.
For all public secondary schools?
Yes.
Form 1
to Form 4.
To Form 4. Okay.
That process is ongoing, and the schools will continue receiving books as the term progresses.
Okay.
Now, we have the competence-based curriculum, which is being piloted. Now, for this one, the books that are being provided, one are the curriculum designs. These are the ones that we have around here, as you can see.
So,
those are the curriculum designs. Exactly.
Syllabuses.
We call them designs for the competence-based curriculum. They're the syllabuses. Now, these ones are being distributed for free to all public primary schools.
Okay.
As I talk to you now, 40 counties have been covered.
7 not yet.
7 not yet, and the 7 will be covered by the 27th of this month. Actually, I just checked with the publisher. They are being loaded today, and the good thing is that they're not far-flung counties. There are counties like Nakuru, Bomet, Kilifi is the farthest we have. And so by the 27th, all the public primary schools will have received these designs.
So Kajiado, Machakos, are they part of the 7 that have not yet been?
I can easily verify that because that is on my phone.
While you verify, let me bring in Job Mokaya. Job, you are dealing primarily in the publishing sector. Talk to us a little bit about the difference between the new curriculum and the old one, for those who may be wondering. What is the big fuss all about?
Yes, thank you very much. I come from East African Educational Publishers. We deal with the educational books for all levels, lower school, primary, secondary, and higher education. The competence-based curriculum, which is now the new curriculum that we are talking about, emphasizes the importance of nurturing skills of learners and then developing these skills into daily activities. In other words, the learners acquire skills from these from the books that we've developed, from what they know, from their environment, then they develop these skills into their daily lives. So learners get skills and do what they learn from the skills, as opposed to the old curriculum that is being phased out, which we call objective-based curriculum, where the learners were primarily supposed to acquire knowledge, store the knowledge in the head, and reproduce it maybe in the examination. And that is why it is called examination-oriented curriculum. And then we award the best performers and the worst performers. For the new curriculum, however, there is no best performer, and worst performer.
Okay.
Everybody has different skills, and it is those skills that are nurtured. In fact, I'll give you examples from the books we've developed. For example, from Kiswahili Angaza, I'll give you a sample lesson on how that lesson will be.
Are you able to hold that book possibly to that camera, just so that someone can get a better shot of it? So this is, at the very top of that book, I can see Competency-Based Curriculum 2018.
Yes.
Kiswahili Angaza, Shughuli za Kiswahili, Kitabu cha Mwanafunzi, Grade 1.
Yes.
And of course, at the bottom are the authors. Just go ahead and tell us a bit more about this.
Yeah, you've talked about grade ya kwanza. No, in the new system, we are calling the levels grades.
Grades.
Grade 1 is an equivalent of class 1 or standard 1, what we are currently calling standard 1. So grade ya kwanza is class 1. So the question that we had asked Dr. Joan about the books are actually available. And you can see I have Kiswahili Angaza for Kiswahili, and we have quite a number of books here that we are distributing. And those
where for you specifically and for your company, where are you distributing to? Are you going specific locations, or do you hand them over to a distributor who takes them, like a government distributor of sorts?
Thank you, Bwana Wahiga. We have various channels of distribution.
Okay.
We have distributors who pick books from us and stock in their bookstores across the country. And then these distributors also have other small distributors who pick from them and distribute across the country. But also at our offices, we sell the books directly to the teachers, to the parents, and anybody who is coming in. Maybe the confusion that Dr. talked about is the government buying these books for the new curriculum for grade 1, grade 2, and 3 to schools. And that's why some schools are waiting to be given these books by the government. But Daktari has said very well that the parents and the teachers are buying the books for themselves, but then the government is buying for the secondary ones and the class 7 and 8, and he said.
So for the new curriculum, the parents and teachers where they need to buy are buying the books for themselves.
Let me clarify.
Clarify, please.
As I was saying, the only counties that we have not covered in the distribution of the designs is Nandi, Bomet, Muranga, Narok, Nakuru, Nyandarua, Machakos, and Kilifi.
Okay, Machakos is there.
Not yet covered.
Not yet covered.
And these are the ones that are being covered between today and the 27th of this month.
Why have they taken so long? And one would assume that if publishing is done in Nairobi, Machakos is just...
No, I think the people who are doing this are looking at logistics. For example, if you have a lorry, maybe 2 lorries going to Northeastern, then you will do Wajir, Mandera, and probably come around to Garissa. And what I understand is that they like dealing with far-flung counties first before the rains, the long rains come in, areas that might prove difficult to reach, so that they have books before. I mean, that is because you notice that most of the counties that I've mentioned are quite fairly easy to reach. So probably those are the logistic issues that they mentioned to us.
Okay, so when you gave a promise that by end of January all this will be done, we are now getting into March. We're very close to March.
Yes.
Was there poor planning? Had they not envisioned certain challenges would come into play? What lessons have you learned?
Probably, again, we are still coming to the same mixed up. The same mixed up that the statement that was being made then was being made for the books that were being given for free.
Yes.
Now the designs were being produced by KICD. So yes, I don't know whether I would call it poor planning, but if you allow me, because we also work with the, independent publishers, what the publishers told us as a government is that in this country, we only have 4 major printers.
Yes.
All of a sudden,
he's confirming that.
they were overwhelmed by the amount of books that need to be printed. Now, unfortunately, again in Kenya, these 4 major printers import paper from out of the country. And therefore, they were completely unable to cope up with the demands within the period of time that was required. For example, the books that are being given free by the government.
And these are standard 7, standard
7, 8,
okay.
And then from
and then 6 textbooks for all public secondary schools from 1 to Form 4.
Are 33.8 million books. And therefore, you can imagine the numbers. So I think that could have caused the delay.
So is it possible that some publishers decided to finish these ones first and then start working on the CBC pilot books, which are the, for example,
the designs? I don't think so. Maybe not.
Or maybe, okay,
probably they were balancing.
You sound like you want to come in on that, Joe.
Yeah.
Yes, but I will also give the sample lesson that I was to give. What Dr. is saying is quite true. We were given timelines by the Ministry of Education through Kenya Curriculum, Institute for Curriculum Development. And as he's saying, we are printing close to 40 million copies, 40 million books in a capacity of less than 10 printers in Kenya. So when you look at their capacity, what number they print a day, which is less than 50,000, you can imagine how long they will take to print 50 million books that the government has already paid and which are supposed to be distributed to class 7, class 8 for the old system, from 1, 2, and 3, and 4 for the old system. That is not the new system. People think that the distribution that is done, that was launched by His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the then Minister of Education, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, was for the new system. No, that was for the old system where the government is trying to achieve the 1-on-1 ratio of
As
the books.
publishers, do you wish the and I'll give you a chance to tell us a little bit about the sample lesson in the book that you're holding.
Yes.
Do you wish the government came to you earlier? Do you wish they came to you in November? Would we not have this problem now? That's why I'm asking you, not him, and I'll come back to him to get a response.
Of course, we wish that they came earlier, but indeed they came earlier. The process started early last year.
Or the process started early last year?
Yeah, but you know, there's also the process of developing the books, customizing the books to fit a certain structure. As you've seen in those designs, all those books from all different publishers have a similar design, especially on the upper part. So every publisher had to do that, and the publishers had also to read the books, edit the books, make them typo-free, error-free. So it was a long process, and then there were the issues of approvals. Then there's the issue of the new curriculum that was also in the mix. There were also other stakeholders meetings at the KICD in London and in so many. So there were so many things that were happening at the same time. There was also the issue of national examinations that were happening at the same time. This is something that happened last year. So it is an issue to do with capacity, really, and not individual publishers or the government.
I think let me also explain that when you talk of a pilot, it is basically a research. And as you pilot, you don't isolate what you want to pilot. And as you pilot, you learn to do things better. And as I had explained earlier, as you were starting the pilot, the mathematics standard 1 and 2, the English standard 1 and 2, and Kiswahili standard 1 and 2 materials were already in schools. Yes. Now, when we were training the teachers last year, we trained them on how to use any material within the context of a new curriculum. Basically, when you teachers are being trained, really we don't confine them to a narrow way of thinking that you must get this book to do it in a given manner.